All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honors unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, B'chai Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, as well as to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. It's your brother, Tazawan from GMS Atlanta, back with another edifying video. This is another update on the digital ID system, and just to show where things are going. The elites of this world, the wicked rulers, in wickedness in high places, Esau, the Edomites, so-called white man and his people, those that go back to Esau, Edom, they have an agenda for a new digital world order. And that new digital world order is going to give them the power that they believe to be the power of a god. Meaning where they'll be able to monitor and track all humans on the planet Earth, the animals and other life. They have these different satellites, systems. The emergence of AI has been groundbreaking in the past 5-6 years now. Things are becoming more and more surveilled. A lot of different policies and legislation is being set up. And a lot of things are going into place, being set up and put into place this year, 2026, with 2027 being a major year of the digital ID system, I believe, through the Spirit. And this is all set up and is all being given the green light by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So for my point that I want to make, I want to get Habakkuk, the second chapter. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it would not tarry. So in the last days, the prophecies, the visions, these things were going to manifest in the earth. And the Lord set up the prophets in the last days, such as the prophet Habakkuk in his time. And even now, that when the vision comes to pass, you're going to have the prophets running and get to, telling everybody about it. And in particular, we're talking about the prophecy of the mark of the beast in Revelation 13, verse 16. Okay? Let me get that. Let me get Revelation 13. And I'll get straight to the point here. I don't want to make this too long. So this is Revelation 13 and 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So there's a prophecy that everyone on the planet, all humans, are going to have a particular mark, which is something physical, in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you look up the word mark in the Greek, which you can do, you go to this website, the Blue Letter Bible, you can look up all the different words and what they mean and get the proper context of the scriptures. All right, the word for mark in the Greek is charagma. All right, and it's not anything dealing with sin or anything spiritual. It's physical. When you mark somebody, you're putting physical cutting in their flesh, like an injection. Okay, so that is what is being prophesied about here. And it's going to go on your right hand or in your forehead. Now, there are people that are getting devices in their hands. You have RFID implants for the hand, and for the forehead or the brain, you have what's known as the Neuralink and other brain-computer interfaces. So that technology is already here. but it hasn't fully been fulfilled with everyone being caused to get it. All right? Now, verse 17 is a part of the context of what the mark will allow people to do. All right? It says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name," meaning you have to be tied to the system, which is the digital ID AI biometric system. And the key to that system, to utilizing that system in the very near future, months away, it could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, 13 months, okay? We're not talking 10, 15, 20 years down the road no more. We're in that time now. That's why when I read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, it says at the end it shall speak. But what is speaking? This prophecy. So unless you have the mark, you won't be able to have a job or buy anything. Okay? So let's go back to Habakkuk 2. All right? And I'm going to go to verse 5. I'll read verse 4. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him." So who's lifted up in the earth? The Edomites. They're lifted up in the earth. They're in the power seat. The self-proclaimed white man, the self-proclaimed Caucasian, their true race and ethnicity and nationality, they are the Edomites. The wicked, according to the Bible, the devil on earth. Everything you can see throughout history, they've all caused pain and hurt in the earth. The Bible talks about those that commit hurtful works. Well, that's these people here. Your chuds. Your chud the builder people. So you can understand. It says, "But the just shall live by his faith," which are the Israelites, the real Israelites, which are blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Those are the Israelites, and those that descend from them, from their father's side only, around the world. Verse 5 is the point. "Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine," meaning philosophy. Okay? "He is a proud man." The wicked, the ones whose soul is lifted up, the Edomites, they are proud. Nobody can take us down, our military and our space force, especially the United States of damn America. They're proud. Neither keepeth their home. That's why they're in every other country. They're causing wars. They're causing chaos. It's going to call it straight. "Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death." Because there's no end to people dying. There's not a time where the earth say, okay, you know what? Can't nobody die for 5 years because too many people been buried. No. So that's their desire, meaning it's endless. Endless desire of wanting what somebody else has. It says it could not be satisfied. There you go. It says, "But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." Now, how is this proud, wicked devil, this Edomite, how is he going to gather and heap unto himself all nations and people? By having everybody take the mark, taking the Motb. So let's get into this here, right? So this digital ID system, this is the system, the worldwide global system that the Motb will utilize, will be applied to. Just like you know now you got to have a laptop or a smartphone to get on the internet. Well, you're going to need the implant to utilize the digital ID system, okay? But first, they're going to use, you're going to be able to use your biometrics and these smartphones. But that implant, that mark is coming. So it says the front line of digital identity innovation spans the global south. So this is a meeting that they had about a week and a half ago dealing with this digital ID system. It says the ID for Africa community focused on frontline developments in digital identity from around the world. Day 2 of the 2026 AGM on Wednesday afternoon. While some of these developments are coming from former colonial powers, who's the colonizer? You know who the colonizer is. Come on, man. So-called white man and his people. It says African, South Asian, and Latin American nations are driving innovation to address the needs of their own people. So this is how Esau is going to heap and gather to himself all nations, is by setting up the digital ID system for all citizens, and then eventually they're going to need to get the chip in the hand or in the forehead. Okay, let's go to the next one. Next article. I'm moving through these quick, man. All right, you can always look these articles up yourself. Do your research, man. It says, stop treating identity as a compliance step. It's infrastructure now. Yeah, this is all about the digital ID infrastructure. So it says the UK government's digital identity consultation. So this is coming out of the UK. The last one was Africa, now in Europe. It says it is closing, and for most commentators, this represents just another milestone in the slow-moving legislative process. For companies building the systems that power digital identity at scale, it embodies the moment ID verification stops being a back-office compliance function and becomes infrastructure. See, that's what they're doing. Everything is going to be underneath digital identity, man. Okay? Everything would be, you log in. Now they're calling it, I did a video on it yesterday. Now they're calling it, basically, you register all your information and your biometrics one time, and then that's it. So the digital public infrastructure, DPI, digital identity infrastructure, is here. It's being set up now. And I said this years ago. You need the infrastructure before they introduce the mark. Okay, the Motb. Let's go to the next one here. It says World Bank unveils DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure Procurement Guide for more integrated digital services. This is all within the last few weeks in the month of May, man. It says the World Bank Group, which is the Illuminati, the banking families, Esau, whatever name you want to give them, they're all Edomites, all right? The true group of people in the earth, whatever name they give them damn selves, right? They're the ones that are establishing this system based upon what? Buying and selling. It says the World Bank Group, who runs the banks? Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all these international banking dynasties, behind the scenes. It says they have published a guidance note that aims to assist countries in selecting the most appropriate procurement methods to build digital ID systems that are scalable and future ready. This lines up with Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Gathered unto himself all nations and heaped to himself all people. This prophecy is coming to pass, man. Okay? So they're using the digital public infrastructure, the digital ID, as a way for that to be the pathway to get everybody underneath their rule. It says the publication, according to the bank, offers practical insights on procurement practices. Procurement means to gather. Matter of fact, let's just look up procurement. Right. What is procurement? Procurement is the obtaining of purchasing of goods or services, right, to gather something, to obtain something. So once they get everything in place, then they're going to put it on the people. So it says the publication, according to the bank, offers practical insights on procurement practices that can offset the challenges of scaling digital systems and services. They're trying to get all the ducks in a row. They're trying to work out the kinks. It says it is accompanied by 3 annexes on procurement neutrality for digital ID, framework agreement templates, and key example contract clauses. So once they get these different agencies and these different lawyers and these laws, these regulations on board with everything, then they believe it's going to be a lot smoother to run this digital system. Okay. It says ICE smart glasses plan. ICE, which is, ICE, the ones that's been coming after you Latin tribes, Jacob's trouble. ICE smart glasses plan points to broader DHS push to make biometrics mobile and routine. The Department of Homeland Security is moving toward a broader biometric enforcement architecture that would extend facial recognition and identity matching tools from airport checkpoints, and ports of entry into the field, including through a proposed smart glasses prototype for immigration agents. So this is what they're doing. They're pretty much trying to make ICE the new world or police force, along with these AI robots and okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna just roll through the rest of these headlines real quick. It says Continental Challenges, Continental Solutions, Africa Digital ID Hackathon 2026. Okay, let's go to the next one. So you see what they're doing. Digital ID systems now critical infrastructure requiring sovereign cyber defense. So this is the plan. The plan right now on a global collaborative scale is to push digital ID. It says from identity to intent, reimagining biometrics for real-time fraud prevention. Oh, if you're dealing with fraud, identity fraud, which has gotten big, I'll say within the last decade, now they want to push biometrics and AI more so you can be protected, right? It says AI-driven scams are forcing a shift from identity verification to intent-based risk. Instant payments and open banking accelerate transaction speed and customer expectations, fraud risks continue to rise. So they want to fix that. So, this is their plan. Okay. ID for Africa speakers. Notice they keep focusing on Africa. Africa is going to be a major player in introducing the Motb. It says ID for Africa speakers urge legal identity inclusion for refugees, stateless persons. Right. Now, when you go into Revelation 13 and 16, what did it say? It says small and great, rich and poor. So if you're poor and you live in a rural area, they want to give you access to government services and you can get aid and so forth through the digital ID. It says UK watchdog warns of legal risks as London police deploy LFR at a protest. Okay, so it says London's Metropolitan Police will deploy live facial recognition technology at a protest for the first time this weekend. So this was 2 weekends ago, prompting warnings from the UK's biometrics and surveillance watchdog that police could face legal action over misidentifications and infringements on fundamental rights. So they're still getting pushback from this digital ID and this biometric thing. But you know what the king said a week later, less than a week later. Digital ID is coming to London and the UK. So, to England especially. So this is the move, man. This is the future. Okay, just a few more here. It says Et2 browser, which is Latin for U2, which is goes back to the quote by Julius Caesar before he was unalived, going back to the Ides of March. If you know your Roman history, it says security experts ring bell over browser fingerprinting. So you can go into this. I'm going to go on to the next one. Fingerprinting to access your browser. It says NIST Air Force. So this is dealing with the military. Move to sole source biometric testing and monitoring contracts. So they want to use fingerprints in the military for certain biometric systems. They put in all these military movies. They scan your eye, your fingerprint. You get access to certain buildings and so forth. Let's go to the next one here. AI fraud crackdown. AI fraud crackdown risks locking blind users out of biometric identity systems. Yeah, so basically if you're blind, you won't be able to use like iris scans or face scans. So what's going to be the way to get these blind people and these disabled people able to access biometrics and digital ID? They're going to give them the mark, the Motb, particularly the one in the forehead. Right? You got Neuralink, Elon Musk and Neuralink working on something called Blind Sight. Government identity verification systems are increasingly locking blind and low vision Americans out of essential services as agencies deploy stricter biometric checks to counter AI-enabled fraud, according to a new study. So they got to work out the kinks for blind people. And it's going to be the mark, man. See, GMS has been telling you right, man, this whole time, man. Okay? Let me read this here. It says, senators press DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, to abandon biometric smart glasses plan for immigration officers, which this is going back to what I was speaking about on ICE. The lawmakers warned in a letter to DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen that the technology could give federal agents a covert, real-time biometric identification tool capable of scanning people in public without their knowledge or consent. Yeah, so they're getting some pushback on this. The letter does not merely ask for guardrails to be put on the technology. It calls for DHS to abandon the plan entirely. So, things are moving. Once Esau gets this eventually it's going to come because the prophecy says so. Okay. But I'm gonna end it with one more scripture. So they're going to work out the kinks of this system, and it's going to be pushed quick, man. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, meaning we are not ignorant to the plans that Esau has dealing with this digital system he's pushing, which is leading up to the Motb. So, more proof that GMS has been right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So continue to be, watch and pray and take heed. Continue to push, continue to persevere. Hope you all were edified. Don't take the Motb, which is the chip when it comes. Continue to endure. With that, I'll say shalom.